Medicare supplements can be written any time of year. If you have a client that comes to you that has a Medicare supplement, they're not happy with the price or the service they're getting, they can change to another Medicare supplement company at any time of the year, as long as they can answer the health underwriting questions. At any time of the year, it's different with MedAdvantage. With the MedAdvantage carrier or a Part D carrier, you're only allowed to move the plans during specific times of the year unless you have a special exception. So the majority of people on Medicare Advantage will be moving during the annual election period, AEP, which starts October 1st, technically October 15th, starts in October and ends in mid-December. So AEP starts October 1st. Now the reason I'm kind of hedging on that is because you cannot talk about the new benefits for the next year until October 1st. You cannot make them public, put them on your website, talk about them in social media, talk about them at all in casual conversation. You will know the benefits for the following year, June or July, but you cannot share it with your clients until October 1st or post it in any publicly facing website. Now, you cannot sell new plans or allow people to change their plans until October 15th. So AEP, when I said it's technically October 1st, October 15th, you can start talking about benefits October 1st. You can start taking new applications October 15th. AEP is when anybody that has a Medicare Advantage plan or a Part D drug plan can switch plans. So that's when they're going to be shopping to see if they have the best plan, the right benefits, their doctor's in the network still, their drugs are still covered, and there is a huge amount of business that's transacted during those few weeks of the year. That is AEP. Anything goes during AEP. Now you could move several times during AEP, and you actually have that. You'll have a client that comes to your seminar and they'll say, you know, I just was at Walmart and I saw a booth there and I signed up for a Humana plan in Walmart. But I really like you and I'd like to work for you. Can you sell the same Humana plan to that client? No, you could not. Could you sell a different Humana plan? Yes, you could. Now, you sell a different plan to that client, but then your client finds out his nephew has his insurance license, and he goes to his nephew and he buys the Aetna Medicare Advantage program. So now he's bought 3 during AEP. He can keep buying as many as he wants. The last one in before AEP ends will be the one that the government processes. So it's important to stress with your clients when you're talking to them during AEP that they will be approached by many other agents in the CVS, in the Walgreens, in the Walmart, in the Kmart, and that they already took care of their plan selection for the year, and they don't need to make another choice. If they feel that they might, they should call you first. Because what they do is they don't realize that just by changing their drugs, they also changed their health plan. Anything goes during AEP, but when AEP is over, now we start to narrow down our options to move. So the first option to move after AEP will start in January, and that will run till February 14th, and that is called OEP, the open enrollment period. And the open and the annual, they don't really mean anything. These are just the terms that we're stuck with. So just know that OEP allows everybody that has a MedAdvantage plan to make one change. So let's say they bought AARP during their annual election period, and then they went to the doctor in January, and they found out their doctor no longer is in the network. They're not locked in for a whole calendar year like they were in the past. Now they'll have an opportunity to make one change during the OEP, which again is for 6 weeks at the beginning of the year. They can make one change and then they're locked in. So when we talk about lock-in, that's somebody that has a plan that is not able to change it until the next AEP comes around. And they will be able to change plans. They'll be able to take a new application October 15th, and it won't go into effect until January the 1st. Okay, so we've covered AEP, anything goes. OEP, you can make one change, and a lock-in is you cannot change your plan until the next year unless you have a special exception. And we call special exceptions SEPs. Government loves their acronyms, so just bear with me. An SEP could be one of 50 different things. The most common SEP you'll deal with is people that are moving. So they bought a plan, and then they moved out of state, they have to buy a new plan. Their plan's no longer available. That's an SEP, and on every application, you have to write down how this person qualifies. Are they an AEP? Are they an OEP? Are they an SEP? Now there's more, I'm not gonna go into them here. We will cover it in your testing modules. So let's go into the SEPs. Most common is they're moving, so you'll put SEP-move. Or they just got extra benefits. They just got Medicaid, they just lost Medicaid. They just moved into a nursing home, they just moved out of a nursing home. There's many, many different special exceptions. They just got incarcerated, they just got unincarcerated. There's 50. Most common one you're going to deal with is people that are losing their group insurance, or they're moving from their area where their original plan was available. But if you don't know the SEP, you can just write SEP because you know it's special, you know it's not AEP and you're not OEP, and the carrier will make every effort to try to determine what the actual SEP election is. Or you can call us, tell us the situation, and we can try to determine it. If nobody determines it correctly, the government can call the client to try to determine it. And if nobody can figure it out, if there is an SEP, they will decline the application. One of the things that's really tough with MedAdvantage versus Medicare Supplement is they're very, very strict, and they're not exactly user or agent friendly. With a Medicare Supplement, if you forgot to check a box, the underwriters will reach out to you directly and say, hey, you forgot to check this box. Have your client initial it, you initial it, and fax it back. I'm the underwriter, fax it right to me. That's a dream world for Medicare Advantage. On Medicare Advantage, if you forgot to check one box, you need a completely new app. Now, that is very frustrating because AEP is at the busiest time of the year. AEP is in October through mid-December. So you have all the holidays and people are traveling, and it might not be easy to go get a new application from your client. They might be completely inaccessible, out of the country, out of the state. So with MedAdvantage, you must be very meticulous to make sure you complete your apps completely, thoroughly, and the best way to do that is to do them online. So we urge you to do only e-apps and make paper your very last resort, because with paper, if the people, so a lot of these use Xerox as a third-party vendors to key in all the apps that you fax in. If they can't read your handwriting, the app dies. If they key it in wrong, the app dies. So it's not user-friendly like it is on the Medicare Supplement side, where the underwriter will just reach right out to you, and the underwriter has a vested interest to help you get this issued. On the MedAdvantage side, they'd much rather just say, forget it, start over. So e-apps will save you every time. They won't let you progress unless you've completed it correctly. And most of the e-apps also have little information bars where you can click, and it'll take you right to answer your question. Or it'll say, these are all the special elections that are available. Or you're at this time of year, is it this? They'll also allow you to link directly to the provider directory and to the drug formularies. So e-apps are the way to go. That will save you a lot of trouble when you're talking about MedAdvantage applications. On your election period, remember, Medicare Supplement, there is no election period. You can change it at any time. We don't call it an election period, we call it an enrollment period, but when you can first get one is when you first age in, you retire at 65, or if you delay that, anytime after 65. So those are generally the two times you're dealing with your, they don't call it your election periods, but that'd be the equivalent of MedAdvantage. Now, if you buy a Medicare Supplement, you will need drug coverage, and that is back over here to the federal side, where you'll need a prescription drug plan. Prescription drug plans and Medicare Advantage are sister plans, and they both under CMS, and they both fall under the election rules. So you have to change your drug plan. The only time you can do it is during that annual AEP, and you cannot move it outside during the lock-in unless you have that special election, which would be, the special elections would be the same for Medicare Advantage. So those are your election periods, very concisely. Again, this will be covered in depth in all your training materials that you will have to pass the test to sell for each carrier. So when you have questions about election periods, about enrollment periods, call us. We're here to support you.